Well, here we are driving along in Christchurch. Kirsten is at the wheel. Doing an excellent job of driving. Heaven help us.
It's nice to inspire so much confidence, isn't it?
There's a cyclist. Go on, Kirsten, you can get him if you try.
No, I don't think, not today.
No, she's going to miss the cyclist. She's going for the lorries now. We're into the big stuff. There she is, the woman herself.
Pretty racy stuff, isn't it?
We'll have to apologise for the jerkiness as we're driving, but the car's only running on 7 cylinders at the moment. The supercharger has just cut out.
Thank God.
There we go, she's just going to have another go at the cyclist.
Racing start there. I don't know why that cyclist went into the other lane there.
Because he knew you were coming. Well, we're going to take you on a drive around Christchurch to see some of the high points, possibly some of the low points, you never can tell.
Now, can you see the Port Hills up there?
That's the Port Hills in front. Stella Frost is doing the sound effects. The camera's bouncing all over the place. This is a real action ride here, folks.
Can they see all the houses? I'll tell you where it would be nice to go. It would be up Huntsbury Hill and see all the beautiful gardens up Huntsbury.
Anything coming that way?
There's a double-decker bus over there. That's a very, very rare sight in Christchurch. I think it's the...
It's only the second one in Christchurch.
Oh, I should have gone then.
Now, this car that you see here, this is called a Holden. As you can see, it's not a Nuan, it's a Holden. Right, I'm just going to turn it off for a sec so I can turn around and you can see the kids in the back. There's the young Miss Frost. As I said, we're bouncing around all over the place. We are driving on a sealed road, you wouldn't believe it, but we are. Stella's singing. There's the boy, young Max. How you doing, Max? Max gone dark.
Talking. This is very unusual.
Max never stops talking until you point the camera at him.
And this is a tricky junction here.
Now you see Kirsten's driving skills being tested to the limit
Yeah,
now.
you certainly will. Because you can't actually see very well.
You're quite right, I can't see very well.
I can see very well.
As you can see, we've made it again.
I did that one very well actually,
Yes.
because I once did that corner and I stopped right out in the middle of the road. Patrick screamed at me. Patrick is a very good driving instructor. He says things like, "You nearly killed us."
Well, she did nearly
like
kill
that
us, come
all
on!
the time.
She did nearly kill us.
And it just, you know, every time he says something like that, it strikes fear and terror into my heart.
So it should.
And I don't drive for another 6 months.
You're carrying precious cargo.
Yes. Now look, if you take the camera up there to the hills, you'll be almost able to see the railway carriage.
Oh, right. These are the hills on which we used to live in the railway carriage. See if I can get you out the side window. No, you get a good view of the door pillar here. I'll just concentrate on that hill in front at the moment. That's called Kashmir, which is the oldest established hill in Christchurch. It's a very expensive place to buy into.
We're going to pull up here somewhere.
Oh, you're now about to see a visit to the post office.
Now what shall I do? Where shall I go?
Oh.
Shall I turn left here?
Yes. On the spot decisions then.
Well, just there. Now you can almost, that's where the railway carriage is, up and straight ahead.
I'll zoom you in on the hills. we've stopped.
Right.
That building in the middle there, that's called the wall shed.
Yeah.
And that sits on the very top of the hill. And the railway carriage is just behind the tips of those trees there. That's just all bare hillside up there. There was a wind generator up there a little while ago, but it blew down in the wind. It might be back up again, I'm not sure.
But that actual side of hillside that you can see from the pine trees over, that land is actually owned by Bill. That's part of Bill's
Not
land
all of
now.
it. God,
No,
damn.
not all of it, but a stripe of it. Stripe of it running down about in the middle between there and the wall shed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because his land goes right down towards the ravine there.
Right. We're just going to the post office and we'll be back in a minute. Bye-bye.
Well, perhaps they'd like to see a real New Zealand post office.
Oh, hang on.
You never know. What are you doing?
Okay. Here they come.
As you can see, Stella Frosty's ripping along here.
Yep, those intrepid shoppers. Look at them, fearless in their determination to spend money.
Office, damn it!
My God, they're going to walk all over me. Help! There's a bus, euphemistically called the Big Red. Well, here you go. As you can see, we're standing outside the butcher's.
Deciding which
And-
steak to have for dinner.
We're going to show you what's in the window.
I think that's probably enough for most people, isn't it?
Yeah. Focus is a bit out because it's hitting off the window.
This is the post office where we have our post office boxes across the road here. So this used to be the centre of our aspirations every day when we went across to see how much mail we've got. You coming? Stella, come back. Hey, Stella.
Costa.
How much should I get out?
Thousands.
I don't think we've got that. I think we've got $100 on it. Should I get 40 out? Hey, Stella.
Look at it. Yeah.
Come on. Come on. I'll get 50 out, shall I?
Yep.
It's $200.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What are you going to spend that on then?
Well, it's my
Ice cream, I
car.
suppose. Yeah. We brought Stella here when she was about 3 or 4 days old, didn't we?
That's right.
And all the ladies at the post office went ooh and ah over it.
Today's. You know what I want to do today?
What's that, Max?
I want to put this one's broken and I'm put that in. Alright, and next time.
What's that, Stella? Is that a duck?
A bird.
That's correct.
Try teams for that.
Correct.
Oh, very good, Stella. Last. Thanks very much. Okay.
3 waddling bums, look.
Come back to the car.
Here we are. This is the limousine. The family transport. The faithful steed. What a vintage. What a really good year this one was. Doesn't it just look speedy and sporty? I'll tell you have to get in there sometimes and hang on for dear life. Well, here we are again. This time we're going for the hill. This is quite a big hill, this one. This takes us right up to the top of the hill that we were showing you before. Going to 3rd, Kirsten. Oh dear. We're going to run out of gears to change down into.
I've never driven up this hill before.
Going to 2nd. 2nd, you're in top. Minor panic in the driving cab then. There you go, nothing's too much.
We'll get up it in a second, won't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, well this hill is parallel to Huntsbury Hill where we used to live. So this sort of steepness of the road is similar to Huntsbury, except Huntsbury used to have a lot of really sharp bends on it.
This is called Dyer's Pass Road. Well, this road leads up to Dyer's Pass, which is named after the guy who found the pass over the top, because what we're in fact doing now is we're going up the side of an extinct volcano, and Littleton, which we'll see later, is actually built in the crater of the volcano. And that's where everybody arrived on the first 4 ships. They pulled the ships into Littleton Harbour, and then people had to climb their way over the top of the volcano and down the other side, which they did with donkeys and God knows what else, lugging pianos and all other kinds of junk.
Shall I go down again?
When we're actually round the bend, I think we'll have to drop it in a second. Yeah, we're going now. 2nd.
Oh, hell.
Stop, stop. We just put it in reverse. Go on. Rev it up. Give her lots of revs. Minor panic there. Kirsten just went from 3rd into top, into reverse. But she's doing well.
Not doing very well at all, actually.
2nd, that's it. You see what a sturdy old car we've got. How many of this modern Japanese rubbish could take that pounding from top into reverse? There we go.
God.
Just giving Kirsten's shoulder a reassuring pat here. This is going to be a good take, Kirsten. Yes, there you are, folks. Real live action as it happens.
Oh God, that was horrible. There was a car right behind us. I have to get the hang of that changing into 2nd from 3rd.
Well, if you do a few more like that, you won't have a 2nd to change into, and then you won't have to worry about it again.
See what I mean about Patrick's
Kirsten's
driving instruction?
Kirsten is actually a very good driver. She just doesn't think that she is.
I've driven coast to coast, and I I drove coast to coast, and then I didn't drive for over a year because I did a bend and it was so bad. I did something just like that, really dangerous on a really tight bend going through the mountain passes, and it gave me such a shock. When I got out of the car, I never wanted to drive again.
You could try third gear around now, Kiss. There you go, look at that.
Shall I just practice going into second from third?
No, please don't.
I'm going to have to go into second.
Okay, try it now. Don't forget second is towards you.
It's towards me.
Yeah, but just gently. That's it. Go on. There you
Hey,
go.
I did it.
Now, this building up in front of us, this is called the sign of the Tarkihi. Well, I haven't got the faintest idea what that means. The Tarkihi was a bird. I don't know if it's still around now. But this must be one of the original buildings.
Very Scots, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of the early buildings, and there aren't that many, but a lot of the early buildings here have got a very strong Scottish feel about them. I think probably because a lot of the early settlers that came over, you know, with the Scots, the dispossessed people from the Highlands.
I'm having a bit of trouble with the focus here. I think the focus is settling on the screen rather than on what's outside. Could just be the jerking around, of course. Now,
Watch your baggage. You'll be able to see the city soon.
well, we'll stop up at the Kiwi, shall we?
Yeah.
Right, we're now going into the windy bits. Where's the subtitle? Where is the subtitle? Can you see it now? There's the subtitle in the wop-wops.
Oh, look at the mountains. The mountains have got the snow on them.
Well, we'll see that when we get to the top.
I think we might try third gear. That's the television tower up there. I love this road actually. I really love it. I much prefer sitting in the passenger seat though.
This is called the Summit Road because it's the road that runs round, more or less around the rim of the volcano. So it's right on the summit of the hills from both sides. It's quite a fair piece of work, this road. The road was built during the Depression when they had all these people on the dole, so they decided to give them something to do, which was to build this road. It wasn't the convicts, that's the other country. I heard a bit on the radio last night where some woman in Australia, when they said to her, would you like to go to England? She said, oh God, no, that's where the convicts came from. Resounding laughter from the inside of the car. Oh well.
Concentrating on my driving, Patrick. Doing all 25 miles an hour.
Yep. Now there's some hefty drops below us now. Some of these bends, they're not quite sheer drops, but they wouldn't be far short. Well, what I'm going to do with you all now is I'm just going to put you away until we get to the top. Bye-bye. Well, here we are. We're just approaching the summit. This building just here that you can see is called the Sign of the Kiwi.
I'll indicate right, shall I then?
Yep.
Actually, we've got nothing behind
Yep.
us anymore.
You just have to watch there's nothing whizzing up the hill in front of you.
Yeah.
If it's clear, just take it, just swing right across. Get a bit of speed up though. You should have been in second there, still. And here we are. We're at the very top now of this part anyway.
Oh.
Oh, there we've stopped. So I'm just going to get you out of the car now and we'll go and have a look and see what we can see.
Come on, gang.
Now that's the view down over the city. I'll just pan it in a bit. There's the plains and the city. That's the road that we just came up. I'll wiggle down it until it disappears. Right, there's the mountains, the snow-capped mountains right over in the far distance. Pan back a bit for that so you can see them. Hang on, Max. Now those mountains, from where we're standing here, across the plain there, that's at least 60 miles just to the foothills of those mountains. It's very deceptive. Those peaks themselves there, those snow-capped peaks, they would be at least 100 miles away. Max, come back. Max is just going over the safety barrier.
Should we go and have a look over the other side?
All the valley down there, that's all been forested with pines. You can see, I don't know if you can see enough up the side there. There's some people. Must be a tractor somewhere. That's the sign of the Kiwi. What that place is.
Over the edge here.
We're just going to take you over to the edge. I'll just you take my hand, Max. You tell me if the road's clear. Now this is looking over to the other side, down into the volcano.
It's just beautiful, isn't it?
Over the garden. Now, keep your eye on her.
No, I think I'll just let her fall off.
Just let her roll down.
Shall I?
Now, there's the view down. Let's pan in a bit for you. There. That island just there, that's Quail Island down there, isn't it, Kirsten?
Yeah.
Yeah, that blob there in the middle, that's called Quail Island. That's actually the plug in the core of the volcano. That's also the island where, who was it? Who went to the, Scott? Was it Scott or Shackleton? One of them brought their dogs there and they practiced on that island before they went down to the South Pole. And also, because it's totally enclosed by water, it used to be the main quarantine station. They'd bring all the sheep and the cattle in and put them on there to see if they had diseases. And there's those amazing clouds over the hilltops over there.
What is that over there? That's not Littleton, is it?
Down where? Oh, that
On the
side
other
over there?
side.
No, that's Governor's Bay.
Yeah.
Going round a bit further is Charteris Bay.
That's right. Littleton's on this side, isn't it?
Yeah. This actually, now we're more or less, we're on a low point of the rim. That's looking down into the what used to be. Kirsten. Kirsten really did let Stella go. Look, she just saved Stella from tumbling about 2,000 feet onto the road.
Oh, Stella, I didn't mean it.
Panic outside the car. However, now back to the view. Hang on, Max. Now, those hills over in the background there that you can see behind, that is actually part of a second volcano and a much larger one. If I just pan back round to the mountains again, you can see the mountains. Where the mountains are, that 100 miles away, that used to be the coastline. That was the far coast of New Zealand. Then what happened was what we're standing on now, this volcano, this one arose up out of the sea, and the big one, which is over behind us over there, they all rose up together and it formed an island off the shore, and then over the years the gap between them, which is now the plains of Canterbury, just silted up, filled up with gravel from the river from the mountains. So we're standing on what used to be an island, but it's not an island anymore. And that lot over the back there, that whole landmass there, the second volcano and the one we're standing on, is called the Banks Peninsula. It was originally called Banks Island, but it's now called the Banks Peninsula. And over there is is a second volcano, which is very similar to this one in as much as that the one wall of the crater is smashed out by the sea and the sea has come into it. And there's another harbour over there that's called Akaroa, but that was taken by the French some time back. It's not anymore.
I say, Patrick,
Hang on.
it's becoming a bit of a history lesson, isn't it? A historical tour of New Zealand. No?
There's my producer shouting me directions from the background there.
You tell him, Stella.
Wow.
Just pick this beautiful flower, look. Isn't it lovely?
White man and little black face. It's the opposite.
So where are we going to go now?
At the moment, we're just going to wipe out and disappear. Bye-bye.
Bye. Come back, Max.
What?
She wants to give you a kiss.
Okay.
Come over here, this way. Come on, Stella. Give Max a kiss. Come and give Max a kiss. Go on. Give him a kiss. Quickly. Quickly. Come on, Max. I think you've just got to catch it when they're doing it. It's your sock. What's this? What's this? Shoe, yeah. Look, there's Max, Stella.
Hi, that's the place. The Kiwis.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's your shoe.
What is this place called Kiwi?
It's called the sign of the Kiwi.
What is the Kiwis there?
Oh! Oh! Stella! Oh, you did a head over heels, didn't you? Hey? You did a head over heels. You've never done one of them. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Now, we're just descending now into the crater.
It's just lovely. Oh, I'd love to live in this part, you know. I've got some friends who live over almost directly ahead of us. And they went on holiday. We looked after their house for a week. It was so nice waking up in the morning. It was a house all on its own next to the water there.
Who's it?
It's Dora and Riley, Max. This is the road hairpinning down. It's a bugger in the snow, this road. A couple of times a year this road gets shut down with the snow on it. It becomes too dangerous.
Oh, my ears are popping.
Right. Now when we get down the bottom, we're going to take the road that runs round the water's edge all the way down. So when we get down there, we'll show you some of the bays as we come across them.
And then we're going to go through this amazing...
Now, here we are. We're actually down inside the crater now. That's what we've just came down. We've just come down from the top up there. Somewhere up there, about there I think. And come down. And that's the view back around the summit road. You see the clouds on the top there, isn't that beautiful? You see all the yellow? That's all the gorse that grows all over the hills. That's called Governor's Bay over there. And then coming round this pole and this bush, that's just a promontory that sticks out. Then coming all the way round, there's Quail Island that sits out in front of us there. And then coming round even further, there's Kirsten and Max. Just past Kirsten and Max, that's where the side of the volcano is broken out, and that forms the harbour. That industrial complex and docks you can see there, that's Littleton. That's one of the main harbours for the South Island. And I'll just pan out a bit and I'll show you around the inside, further around the inside on the side that we are.
Oh, poor Stella. You must be getting a bit tired and a bit hungry.
Try not to get the sun into the camera now. That's back round the top. Well, here we are, folks, back on the road. We're just coming round into Littleton. Kirsten's still at the wheel.
I tell you, my neck is aching so much.
I don't know why the neck aches.
Yeah, I do. Isn't it
Outside
lovely?
the window there, that's Littleton. There's the oil refineries, or the oil tanks. It's one of the places where I work, one of my jobs down there. And we're just coming around, there's the docks over there. I don't know if you can see that, we keep losing the light. This is a container port, and it's also an OCL port as well, which may be of interest to Ray. If ever he thinks of emigrating, he can come here and get a job.
What's OCL?
That's the company that Ray works for, my brother.
Now what do I do here? Do I go left or right or something?
You stop and you take a right. But you stop at the end of the road, where it says stop, not here.
Oh, sorry. I thought I was going to go down there.
So this is Littleton. All these, Littleton's, the sides are quite steep, so all the houses are built up onto sort of poles. Can you see, Kirsten?
Yeah.
As I was saying, a lot of the houses are on quite steep sides, so they don't have much of a garden to them. And they now build what they call pole houses on even steeper sides, where they just drive poles down into the side of the hill until they can build the house. So the back of the house is into the hill, and the front of the house is about 20 feet up in the air. It's also where the old prison used to be, Littleton Jail, where they hung about 6 people. One thing and another.
Left?
Yeah, here we go. We're now, that hill that we came over, we're now going to go through the hill.
Lights on? Where are the lights?
And here we go.
Patrick, where are the lights? Is that them? Going to where I work now. G'day fellas, how you doing?
Good, you get a photograph of all, eh?
It's being done, mate, while you're standing there.
What's that, buddy? Video thing?
Yeah. This is my boss, George. Say hello to me mum and dad, George.
Hello, Mum and Dad. How are you? What are you sending back to England?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you hire it out? Patrick, what?
No, it belongs to some friends of ours.
Oh, yeah.
They're just up from Dunedin for the week. I just showed
Oh, it's got the bloody speaker and all on it.
Yeah. Fair piece of work.
Yeah, should be a few bobs in.
$4 grand.
$4 grand, yeah.
That's the name of the company. We just changed our name from A&T Burts. We're now New Zealand Mechanical. And there's my van. Yeah, it is indeed.
Sit on the bishop about that player. Near the microphone that said out here on a pole. Pulled around like a wee telescope. Well, I couldn't hear you, know, but when I got home that night and put on the screen, he said, "Well, I be Jack. Fucking hell, Jack. No, fucking hell. Jack, mate, fuck, I hope it's old cunt. Every second word was fucking cunt. Well, you couldn't hear a word of it when I was filming it. Yeah.
Mum and Dad.
Fucking look at the old bloody fucking too old to be playing fucking ball.
This is Hamish, by the way. There we go. That's me boss and Hamish.
Come back in a fortnight's time and have a shave.
That's the lads. Right, I'm going to leave it. Well, here we are. Now we find ourselves up at the railway carriage where we used to live.
I don't think Bill's here. It's a bit of a shame. Oh,
There's the carriage.
no. Trees have
Some
grown
of the
so
things
much,
that are lying
since
around
we were
here.
up here. They were just little tiny things before.
Max on the swings.
Yeah.
There it is again. You can see how it's nestled into the trees now. When we first came up here, when the railway carriage was here, there wasn't a single tree around it. All this was bare hillside. And there's a lot of the trees here that Bill planted and that we planted. And you can see just how much has grown in a couple of years.